Welcome to the Truth and Love podcast. We are continuing our series called Fostering for Jesus. Tonight or today, whenever you're watching, we have three special guests with us. And tonight's topic is going to be, is fostering right for your family and how to determine that? Stick with us. Welcome back to the series, Fostering for Jesus. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, is fostering right for your family? If you've been thinking about it, considering it, praying about it, we want to answer those questions. Is fostering slash adoption right for your family? I have three special guests joining me for this podcast. The first one is, of course, my wife, and I'm thankful she is with me. She partners with me in fostering, and we have a wonderful time fostering together to the best of our ability. Our other two special guests, and you guys can introduce yourself however you want to introduce yourself. But I'm going to start in my top left corner. Amy, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Amy Ramsey. I'm the licensing social worker for the Department of Social Services.
In my top right corner, Laura, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Laura Bowles. I am the adoption specialist for Lincoln County Department of Social Services. I've been working in child welfare for about 14 years, but specifically in adoptions for 10 years. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So we've got our bases covered. We've got our fostering and we've got our adoption experts here with us for this series. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to be encouraged by the answers that you give. And I know that whoever listens will be as well. Kelly, you want to start off by asking the first question?
Yes, I think my first question goes to Laura tonight.
Yeah.
What are the most important things first-time foster parents should consider before starting the process?
Sure. So, when we initially start working with prospective foster families, so right from the get go, when they first start training, we start talking with them about 12 skills that they should have in order to be a foster parent. These skills are things like communication and working in partnership and helping children build their self-esteem, things like that. So, but in my opinion, in my personal opinion, the things that the foster parents, the 12 skills that foster parents should really focus on initially, especially, are assessing the impact that fostering is going to have on your family and knowing your family. And so right off the get-go, foster parent or prospective foster parents should be talking to their children if they have children in the home already. They should be talking to their extended family members. They should be talking to their church family or their work family, the people that are going to be their supports throughout this journey that they're about to go on. So they need to know their family and who is going to be there to support them. They need to know their family and what their family can handle before they bring a child into their home. And they also need to, like I said before, assess the impact that fostering is going to have on their home and their family. How is this going to affect children that might already be in your home? Is it going to affect their roles? It most certainly will affect the roles of the children who are in your home, and it'll affect your role as a parent in the home. And so how will it affect you financially? Because it's going to affect you financially. There's so many things that you need to assess about your family and your home before you even consider bringing another child, especially a child who has experienced trauma, into your home. So yeah, I think that's those are the two important things that foster parents or prospective foster parents need to focus on before bringing a child into their home.
So if I could follow up on that and ask this question. So if you are a prospective foster parent and you're assessing the situation, I know that there are now, with the technology that we have, there's tons of articles out there. There's podcasts. There's this podcast. And if I'm a prospective foster parent, would you be able to hook me up with an existing foster family for contact and resource to say, can you give me some insight so I can help better assess what it may look like for my family?
Absolutely. We definitely have those, we call them seasoned foster parents
Mm.
who have been doing it a little bit. And so they are more than happy to talk to those newer foster parents or prospective foster parents about what they can expect, what they have seen. Of course, every child is different, every family is different, every situation is different. And so we're always seeing new challenges and new things. So there may be something that you're dealing with as a new foster parent that this existing foster parent may not have dealt with, but they can definitely walk with you, and be there to support you through what you may be going through with this child who's just been placed in your home, or the child that you're anticipating to be placed in your home.
Amy, my next question goes to you. How can a family determine if they are emotionally and financially, which we kind of touched on, prepared for fostering?
Okay, good question. So there are no income guidelines, but the requirements do say that a family must be financially independent. And as the licensing worker during that time, we go through a budget worksheet. We work in great depth with you regarding your current financial situation. As far as emotionally, an honest self-reflection is really important, not only for yourself, but for your family. Evaluate your strengths and needs, family communication, make sure that everyone is on board in your home for this decision, and prepare everyone, let everyone know what to expect, the expectations going into it. As far as children go, prepare them too. Talk to your children in great depth about the changes that are going to occur and what it means to help children out who are in foster care going through rough times. I think it's I've had a lot of foster parents talk about the empathy that their children have gained from them, their family fostering.
Well, and we know from experience that you guys do, you don't just care about the information, you care about the family. And so you have helped with the budgeting, with the financial information, and always asking, how are you doing? You're inquiring about our stability, our emotional health. What resources would you offer besides yourselves, because I think when you get into fostering and you can prepare, it's one of those things, you can prepare yourself all you want to, but once you get into it, reality, it's one of those things, reality sets in, and what all they said was actually true, and there are parts of it that are hard. So if someone needs that extra resource, where would you point them? What direction would you point them?
Well, we do have a mentoring program, which Laura talked about. Our most seasoned foster parents, if they've gone through a similar situation and we know that, we can talk to that seasoned foster parent and make sure that they're on board, which 99.9% they are. We have a very close-knit foster community. They want to help each other out and give advice. And if they've been through something, they certainly know what the other foster parent is going through and can give tips and advice on that. We also have trainings. We offer trainings for our foster parents in person. We have online. We do webinars, books, movies. We can recommend just about for any specific topic, a movie or a book regarding that. And not only will the foster parent have the licensing social worker and the adoption social worker, the child also has a social worker for themselves. Mm-hmm. There's also a guardian ad litem who is the court voice for the child. So you will be bombarded not only by the agency support, but by your own church support, family support, neighbors. Like the saying goes, it takes a village.
You're right.
Okay. Laura, what are some of the biggest surprises or challenges that first-time foster parents face?
So I think that, like I said before, there are always new challenges and new surprises that surprise even us and surprise even those seasoned foster parents who have been doing it for 20 plus years. There's always something new that we're like, wow, that's new. And every child, like I said before, is individual, and every situation is an individual situation. But I think that the biggest challenge that newer foster parents experience is parenting from the middle. If you have your children, if you already have biological children in the home, or adopted children, or children that you've parented from the beginning, they have a base that you've instilled in them. You've given them that base, these expectations that you've laid out for them since birth. If you're bringing a child into your home, someone else has already given them that base. And it doesn't quite match yours, And so I think that it can be shocking sometimes for newer foster parents to kind of change the way they parent, because you can't expect this child to change their base, right? And so you might have to change the way you parent your own children. And you'll definitely have to change the way that you parent this child to meet their needs and what their base is, because you're parenting from the middle. And even if you don't have your own children still in the home, if you're an empty nester and you've already raised your children, your expectations have to change a little bit, because these children who are coming into your home, they haven't had you from the beginning. And so you're going to have to change up your discipline methods. You're going to have to change up, the way that you talk to them, the way that you talk to your spouse and your own children. So I think that's one of the shocking things. And we can talk to our foster parents, our prospective foster parents, all day long in training and trying to prepare them. But I think it really hits you on the face when you've got that first placement, and you're like, wow, they weren't lying about that. We really are parenting from the middle, and we might have to change up our expectations a little bit for this child who's coming into our home, and meet them where they are, I think, is the big thing. So, yeah.
I think that's so important. Not only, and I'm not saying this as a motivation to foster, but it happens when you foster, because it becomes a different dynamic. So not only do you learn about yourself when you get married, and not only do you learn different things about yourself when you have children in that marriage, you also begin to learn different things about yourself when you foster and bring other children besides your own in the home. And so I'm glad you said what you said, because you're not only learning that they're coming in with a different baseline, but also you're learning about yourself and areas where you can grow and you can learn. And then that helps build, character in yourself.
Absolutely.
And how you can better meet the needs of the children by growing yourself.
Well, and I'll say that every time that I do teach MAP, which is our training program, it reminds me how to be a better parent to my own biological children. I learn when I teach foster parents about parenting, I learn how to better parent my own children. I'm not a foster parent. I just want to throw that out there. I'm not a foster parent. I'm not an adoptive parent, but our training, it can help even biological parents, to better parent their own children.
So, Amy, how does fostering impact the daily routines and dynamics of a household, especially for families with biological children?
It affects everything about your family, pretty much, as you all know. Fostering affects your time, how your time's spent, your finances. It affects your spare time in the home, your space, your physical space in your home, and the family dynamics. As far as the biological children go, things like sharing, whether it's an older child sharing a bathroom now, or younger children with sharing toys, they're definitely gonna have to understand that they need to share their space and their parents. They may lose some of that one-on-one time that they're used to with their parents. It also changes or may change the birth order. If you bring a child younger or older into your home, it's going to change your biological children's birth order. So in a nutshell, it affects every aspect of your home. And I think the big thing is to remember is to assess the impact. Talk to your family about fostering. Have family meetings if you have older children, or even if you have younger children, and put it into very excuse me, very simple language as far as what it means, what it looks like, so that everyone's on the same page.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys, because I've not had this conversation with you guys, but I don't know if you've had this conversation with other foster parents. And what I'm going to say kind of slightly goes along with this question, but another area where it changes the dynamic of your life is that not everybody gets it or understands what you're doing outside of your home or outside of your tribe, your church, your family, whatever. Not everybody gets it, and there may have misconceptions. They may be judgmental. Not everybody is like, "Oh, you're fostering. You're the greatest people in the world," and that's not why we do it. But not everybody is as understanding as some people in your life. They think you do it for this reason or another, or they don't understand. You care for them, these children, as you would your own. So therefore, you need to take the time to, when they have to go to the hospital or they have a sporting event, you're caring for them as if they are your own, meeting their needs. And like I said, I'm not sure if you've had those conversations with parents or not. I know that in our lives we've experienced kind of those different dynamics where not everybody understands equally maybe your motivation for fostering.
Yes. And I'll add to that too, that I think it's an education. I really think that it's an educational need for people, because how would the general public know, how kids come into foster care, why kids come into foster care, what they go through as far as the trauma process. Unless you're educated on it, you really wouldn't know that. And that's part of our jobs, is to recruit foster families and to do the education piece of it so that people understand. And another thing I thought of when you asked that question is, back to preparing your family, preparing those around you, preparing people in your church. So Sunday, when you walk in with 2 extra children, people are going to go, "Oh, okay." And they're going to understand. They're not going to come up and ask you like a strange question and put you on the spot. They'll get why you're doing it and what you're doing and what you're going through, and hopefully be supportive.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hope. Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. I didn't mean to talk over you.
Go ahead.
I think that's the hope, that through your actions, you can change people's perception and change their minds. But that's not always the case. And as a foster parent, you got to have a thick skin, unfortunately, and just let it roll off your back and understand that you're not going to change everybody's mind. You're not going to make everybody see that what you're doing is for the best of these children. And so unfortunately that's part of fostering. And it's really sad that it has to be like that, but it is. You have to have a thick skin in multiple areas of your life, but that's one. You just kind of have to let things roll off your back when people say things like that.
Yeah.
A
passage from the scripture, from the Bible, that I think of for us, kind of related to this as well, is about weeping with those who weep and laughing with those who laugh. And that carries a different meaning as well when you have foster children, because with your own biological children, they're probably going to be mourning, weeping for different reasons. They lost the privilege to do this or that and the other. But when you have foster children and they come in, they're weeping because they're in a new environment, because they miss their sibling, they miss their mother and father. And so that is something that you you oftentimes carry with you throughout the day, because you have a child in your home that are emotionally struggling with different things than your own biological children struggled with. And so you carry a different emotion with you than you normally did, that some people don't often understand.
You're
Mhm.
right.
I
Mhm.
agree. Yep.
So we've touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But the next question is, what kind of training and support do first-time foster parents receive, and how can they best prepare themselves?
Sure. I've already kind of mentioned this before, but our initial or pre-service training is what we call it, is MAP, Model Approach to Partnerships and Parenting. It is a 10-week course. It's 30 hours. And it goes, it's what it really is a mutual selection process. It's not just a training where we're throwing information at you and expecting you to just, for it to just stick. It's a mutual selection process. So we are giving you information about our program, about foster care, about the process, and you are giving us information about you and your family. And we're helping you to decide what path is best for you. Is fostering right for you? Is adoption right for you? Is a little bit of both right for you? Or is this path not right for you at all? Can you support children in foster care a different way? So that's what the training program is. It's MAP, and like I said, it goes for 10 weeks, 30 hours. And then after that, we do help out with first aid and CPR, which is a requirement to be licensed as a foster parent. And then there are some other trainings like medication training. Like a lot of our children are on medications just based off of things that they've been through. And there's a court training because legal is a big part of what we do. Everything that we do is affected by the court system. So we want to make sure that all of our foster parents are up to date on the most recent court information. And so those are just a few of the trainings that we provide up front or pre-service trainings before you become licensed. But all of our foster parents receive continuing education. So within 2 years of being a foster parent, you should have 20 hours of additional training. So we provide quarterly trainings at our agency. There are also online trainings that we can send to you to help you get that 20-hour requirement in. And then we also send people information on seminars and events that they can do to get that continuing education in. So there's a lot of education that goes into being a foster parent. But as far as support is concerned, all of our foster parents receive the same level of support. So, of course, depending on what they're going through in that moment, they may need a little bit more. So we give them a little bit more. But every foster family has their own social worker that is there for them and visits with them on a monthly basis and contacts them in between to make sure that everything's going well. And when you do get a first placement or a new placement, we're giving you even more support to make sure that things are going well with that child when they first come into your home. But our foster families get quite a bit of support from their own social worker, and the child or children that are placed in the foster home also have a social worker, and they should be supporting the foster family as well. So yeah, lots of support, lots of training for our foster families.
I'll say something about that support, that something that I didn't know and that I was encouraged about when we received it, which was, and this was kind of building up to fostering, and that was how you guys care about not only the children but the families that they're going into, which will be us. And so you asked us the question, what age group do you prefer? And even with Kelly and I, that was a little different. We had to have that conversation, but I can see how that is important for the child, that you want to put them in a home where that's going to be most comfortable, or it's going to be the right fit for them with that family. You don't want to put a child in a home where
Right.
they're not comfortable with that age or that type of dynamic.
Yeah, because that would be setting you up for failure, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you know, if you've gone through 30 hours of this mutual selection process with our agency, and you've determined that this is the age range that I can handle,
Mhm.
or these are the needs that I can handle, we're not going to even attempt to place a child in your home that, is not in your preference zone. Because that, like I said, that would just be setting our foster families up for failure. We want you to succeed. We want this child to be in a home that's successful.
Right. And I think that may be a misconception going into it, that I'm just gonna get whoever they send to me, and no, that's not the process. You guys work with your potential foster families and even continue, because that could change. And so you
Right.
continue to work with them to make sure it's the best fit. And I'll give a shout out to, you were talking about training and continuing training. I'll give a shout out, and I'm not gonna call any names, but I'll give a shout out to our um, foster care worker, and how wonderful she is about sending us reminders and emails, because everybody is so busy, and she sends us emails about reminders of upcoming training that we may not have been aware about. And
Mhm.
so we appreciate that update of information that keeps us going, and reminds us that we need to stay on task as well.
That's right.
Yep, that's right.
Part of the support is holding you accountable.
That's right. That's right, and we
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
So our next question, how should first-time foster parents handle the emotional attachments to a child who may reunify with their biological family?
Okay. So first we ask foster parents to treat these children that come into your home like your own. Treat them exactly like your own. So of course bonding happens, attachments happen, but guess what? The goal in foster care is reunification. It's our jobs and it's the foster parents' jobs to work with the child and the family and support them to get these kiddos home. That's our first priority in foster care. Eventually down the road, the plan may change to another permanent plan of custody, guardianship, adoption. But first and foremost, the goal is reunification. So, it's hard to accept when children go home. Of course it is. It's a hard thing to go through. But we also encourage our parents and we tell them they're making a difference in the lives of these children. Absolutely 100% we believe that. They're planting seeds, experiences that children would never have had, teaching, different morals and values and just ways of doing things that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So you're definitely planting seeds, even if or when that child goes home.
I think too, um, I think something that has been helpful for us as foster parents is shared parenting with biological parents, because we have not remained in close contact with some biological parents whose children were in our home, but we've kept up, and we'll reach out, or they'll reach out to us occasionally, and it's always good. The offer from us is always there. If you need anything, just let us know. We are happy to help and do what we can.
Yeah.
And that's the environment and the relationship that we want to nurture with biological parents, because that connection, that attachment is there and it's real. And of course it's gut wrenching when they go home, reunify, leave your care. But if you have that good shared parenting and that good relationship, it doesn't have to be the end. And
Absolutely.
you can still stay involved.
Absolutely. That's a great point. And we've seen a lot of stories of foster parents that have done great shared parenting, and they still have relationships with these kids, on holidays or special occasions. They get to see them or take them to the park or babysit. for the bio parents. So it keeps a connection there, and it's also support for the birth family. It's a continued good role model, good support for birth families as well. So it's definitely we not only encourage our foster parents, but it's required to do good shared parenting with birth parents. So thank you. That was a good point.
Well, and I will say names, and we can edit it if we need to, but I don't think we'll need to. So, we're not under any misunderstanding that not everybody has had it as good as we have. I'm sure there's lots of stories out there many foster parents could tell and many social workers could tell. So we know that not everybody has had it as good as we had it, and so we're appreciative for the social workers and the social worker that we have, which is Amy, and we're appreciative of her. And even though you said, as you've taught, it's a requirement to pursue that shared parenting, from your experience, and we can feel that, and we can tell that each foster setting, each biological parent is different. And so that effort in reaching out for shared parenting is different in every situation. It may not always look the same. So even though there's that teaching of requirement, there's grace involved on you all's part to say, there's patience, there's grace in how we navigate that shared parenting. And so we appreciate that that kindness extended toward us. And I know Kelly's the main one because it's usually mom to mom in our circumstance who has done the communication. So Kelly has done a really good job in that, and we've got a lot of good support from you guys as far as being patient with us as we've navigated each different situation.
And we typically will do a shared parenting meeting with the family within 7 days, because a child visits at the agency within 7 days with their family. But someone will be with you. So we don't put you in a room with foster parents and birth parents and say, good luck with this. I mean, there's a social worker there that guides and leads the conversation and helps you out so that it flows, and so that everyone feels comfortable. That's our goal, is for everyone to feel comfortable, and to try to show the child at the time too that, my mom and Ms. Kelly are talking, and it's comforting to children, very comforting.
Your turn.
It must be, yes.
Okay.
What, Laura, what are the different types of foster care, and how can first-time foster parents choose the best fit for their family?
Okay.
Or are there even different types?
Okay, so I think I understand this question. I'm going to answer it a certain way, and you bring me back around if I didn't get to the point that, if you have additional questions. So there are different levels of foster care, right? So there's level 1 care, which is what the families that we work with are level 1 care, family foster care. Those are the families that we train and support, and we place children in their home. Then there are level 2 homes, which are therapeutic homes. And so those homes are for children who have pretty significant needs. And those families get additional training and additional support that is provided by private agencies. And then there are even higher levels of care, like group homes or locked facilities for children who have significant emotional, mental health needs. I'm not sure if that quite answered your question, Kelly. Is there something else that you wanted me to touch on there?
I think that answers the question.
Okay.
And I think especially knowing that what you guys work with and do is just that level 1.
Yes.
Is very good information for people to have. Because we know there are other levels out there. But it's helpful to know
Yeah.
where that training can come from.
Yeah, absolutely. And so sometimes children are placed in family foster homes, and we realize that, ooh, they have some significant needs that we weren't aware of. And so that's when we start working towards either getting that family trained to have the skills to parent that child, or we look at placing them in a higher level of care, like a therapeutic foster home.
Yeah, I appreciate the answer, and I think that's what we were looking for too,
Okay.
because I think that's another that goes right along with the other, just not knowing. You know,
Mhm.
there's many reasons why people feel tugged to helping children in foster care, but you don't always know the ins and outs. And so, like
Mhm.
I said, one of those misconceptions is they're just going to give us whoever, doesn't matter the age. And then there's the other misconception: it doesn't matter what issues or struggles that
Mhm.
the children are facing, and no, that's not the case. You
Right.
guys are intentional about where
Mhm.
you place the children, and if they need, special care, you put them in that home with families who have special training.
Mhm. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So, Amy, what are some of the signs that fostering may not be right or may not be the right choice for a family?
So every family's different. And I think just from a perspective of, doing an evaluation on your family, on yourself, we go through, when we do the MAP class, it's a mutual selection. So it's, we decide if you are a good fit for fostering, and you all decide if you're a good fit for fostering. And a lot of that is back to the education piece. But you also have to look at things like we talked about earlier, just, the space in your house, your finances, the time that you have. Do you have time to invest, in another child? Because a lot of our kids will need, they'll need doctor's appointments and possibly therapy appointments and counseling and, additional things. They might be involved in baseball, or so that's another thing to think about too. That's another night at the ball field for you. So yeah, so there's a lot to, but it really is. It's just a deep dive into your family, and really considering if it's a good fit at the time. And in some circumstances, it's not. The timing is just off, or the season's off, so it might not be a good time. But maybe put it on the back burner till later, and that might be a better time for you and your family.
And I think to also know that you have to be willing to let people come into your house
Mm-hmm.
every month.
A lot of people.
And that's right, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think I heard it described one way, and I don't know this if it fits all of the time, and I don't think anything fits all of the time in all parts of foster care. But I heard it said that foster parenting is parenting on a stage. And in a way, it kind of is, because not only do you have all the people who come in and visit once a month, but you also have just the outside eyes of the world looking
Mhm.
in at what, even when they don't, maybe they're not doing it intentionally, but they're still seeing what you're doing, um, and you're even setting an example for others
Yep.
in the care that you give. So it's parenting on a stage, and I think that's kind of a good way, at least for part of the time, to relate it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Kelly, because I know you're a teacher, so don't take this the wrong way, but when teachers find out that a child's in foster care, they're keeping a closer eye on that child, right? And thus keeping a closer eye on the parents who are parenting them. Same with daycare. If a child's in daycare, that daycare provider finds out this child's in daycare, they're keeping a close eye on that child, because we all want the best for children. I don't think it comes from a place of, oh, we're trying to catch you. I think it's just they want to be supportive. They want to make sure this child is being taken care of. And so you're right. You are parenting on a stage. You're right. It draws attention when you're a foster parent. Yeah.
So I want to say that I appreciate you saying that, Laura, because with the with the unknowns of being a potential foster parent, and having all these people looking at you all the time. The folks that we work with, I appreciate the professionalism that I have encountered with you all, because you're coming and approaching the foster parents with that knowledge that they're probably thinking, how can I catch them in this, or I catch me in a I got you moment, but you're not, and you approach us with that professionalism, knowing that we may be thinking that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then another area of professionalism is, Kelly talked about how you have folks in your home all the time. Well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, and you guys aren't in our home all the time, but we have visitors in our home more than we used to.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, you guys schedule,
Right.
and you make sure that it's convenient for you guys and for us, and you work things out. So it's, you guys make it as easy for us as possible. And so I appreciate the experience, the professionalism that you guys show. And I think you guys are an example for, of course, we have not had any other interaction with any other agency, but I think you guys would be an example for other agencies because of professionalism and how you have dealt with us. And so we appreciate that. And for me, I want to ask this question.
Yeah, we appreciate. We don't often get good feedback, so thank you. Yeah.
Well, I think you all deserve a 7% raise this year. I mean, I'm going to put that in. And so maybe that will happen. We'll see. I did want to ask this question too on that one, and this is more of a personal experience question. And I know we're not going to name any names, but we're talking about signs when we should not foster parent. So have you guys ever kind of in the back of your mind thought, here's a family that they're going to be great, and then it doesn't work out in the end? Or on the other end, you see a potential foster family and you say, I'm not sure they're going to make it, but then they end up being great. Have you ever seen that happen?
Yeah, I'll take that, Amy. We've definitely seen both of those situations. And we like to say, in social work in general, judgments can wait. Mm-hmm. Whether you're working with a biological family or a foster or prospective foster family, it's, your people don't always make the best first impression, and we may go through an entire map cycle and think, oh gosh, we just don't know if this family's going to make it. But then they end up being a wonderful foster family, and every child has a specific needs, right? And so sometimes it takes a specific type of family to meet that specific child's needs. And so just because that person's values or morals or, their lifestyle doesn't match up with what we think is ideal, doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good fit for a child who's coming into foster care. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And would you say this is true as well? Because I just think about something that you said. If it doesn't work out ideally the way you think it should, doesn't necessarily mean you're bad foster parents.
Nope, it doesn't. No, it just means it wasn't a good fit. It just means that the child may have needed a higher level of care or needed a different type of family that could meet their needs. It's not a reflection on the foster family at all.
Right.
So, yeah.
Good deal.
Is my turn?
Yeah,
again?
your turn.
All right. How can first-time foster parents build a strong support system to navigate the challenges of foster parenting?
So we've talked about this a little bit already, so I might touch on some things we've already talked about, but building that support system is something you should start immediately, right? It's so important because there are challenges that come along with being a foster parent. There are struggles, and you're going to need that support from your family, from your church family, from your work family. There are so many from every area of your life. You're going to need somebody to support you on your fostering and or adoption journey. And so The big thing, though, with support is you want to vent often. Those are the people that you want to vent to and tell them what's going on. And you just want to be careful when you're doing that, because you do have to maintain confidentiality, right? Foster parents are held to the same standards as social workers when it comes to confidentiality. You can't just go spreading the child's business or the biological parent's business around everywhere. And so if you need to vent, you should use your professional support system. You should be using your social workers or the child social worker or the guardian ad litem, those people who are also held to that higher standard of confidentiality. Another big support are other foster parents, because like you were saying earlier, Robert, unless you're doing this work, you don't understand it. There's other parents don't understand what you are going through as a foster parent. And so building that network of foster parents early on is really important. And so there are lots of ways to do that. We can set you up with a seasoned foster family, or you can make those connections at our quarterly training events or our annual events that we have, like our Christmas party or our foster parent appreciation. Those are the places where you can start building those good connections with other foster families, because those are the people who understand what you're going through in the moment, and the ones that you can call at 11 o'clock at night when you're having trouble getting a kid down for bedtime. Like, I'm dealing with this. What in the world have you done when you've dealt with this? Because I know you've dealt with this in your home. So yeah, foster families are the best support system for other foster families, for sure, is what I would say.
All right, Amy, our last question for the night. What advice, and this may be coming from what you've heard, because this is more geared toward the foster parents themselves. So maybe the feedback that you've gotten, what advice do experienced foster parents wish they had known before taking in their first placement?
I think just expect the unexpected. And that goes along with just being flexible, being adaptable, because nothing is set in stone in foster care. Things change, and just expect the unexpected. Every child's different. Every case is different. It's just being flexible goes a long way in foster care, even for social workers. Everyone is, everyone needs to be flexible. Also, we talked about this a bunch too, but I'm just going to reiterate, identifying your support system early, letting them know what you're doing, what's going on. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I know that's hard for a lot of people, myself included, but when you need it, just ask for help. It's so important. And what goes along with that is self-care. Foster parents need to remember self-care, because it's impossible to take care of others if you're depleted yourself. So we always talk to our foster parents about, self-care. Make sure that you're taking the time. Do you need respite? We ask that a lot, just to give our foster parents a break. And what respite is, it's where another licensed foster family takes the child in your home or children for, a weekend or for a week or whatever the case, whatever the need may be. But that also helps a foster family to recharge too. So we do offer that a lot as well.
Well, before I close it out, I want to give everybody a last word.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to speak on this last question, because one of the best pieces of advice I came across was after our initial placement, Reunified. And I read through a book, and the advice in the book was to go all in with your heart and give them all the love and all the care and everything, as far as that goes, go all in with your heart, but guard your mind, set your mind to know that the goal is reunification until that's not the goal anymore. And just keep that in your mind and protect your mind in that way. And it will just make things so much, I want to say, easier, because it doesn't get easy when they reunify. But it just helps your perspective a lot
Mm-hmm.
to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me that was a big help, and I wish I had known it before.
Yeah.
And I guess it would kickstart that healing process too.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have? Go ahead.
I was just going to say foster parents go through the grieving process as well when a child goes home. And that's important to remember too, that, be easy on yourself, give yourself some grace, and, you're going to grieve, and it's just inevitable. But just realize that, like I said earlier, you're planting those seeds, and what you're doing matters. And we appreciate our foster parents more than they know.
Do you have any last words?
No, I think that was it.
Amy, Laura, do you have any last words?
I'm sorry, Amy. Did I talk over you?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you, Kelly, for giving me the idea of foster parents or parenting on a stage. I'm going to use that in training new foster parents. I think that is a great concept, and it's so true. So thank you very much. And I also just want to drive home what Amy was saying about asking for help and how important that is for foster parents once you're in it, because foster parents are just natural superheroes. Like, you wouldn't be doing this if you weren't a helper, if you weren't someone who wants to help people. You're a superhero if you're doing this work. And it's hard for superheroes to ask other people for help, right? Because you're the ones that are out there saving people. And so for you to ask someone else, hey, I need some saving, make sure you're doing that, because that's part of self-care. And we expect it. We want you to do that, because if you're drowning, you can't save a drowning person, so we're here to help, and we want that for you guys.
Amy?
I just want to say as well, thank you so much for this opportunity, and for giving us time to talk about fostering, and the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, just to be real about it. And we will do what we can to help out.
Well, I called you guys professionals. Experts? Is that what I said at the beginning? Experts. At the beginning. So I called you guys experts at the beginning, that we have special guest experts on the program, and I call you that because, and I've already talked about it before, you guys don't have a commission-based job, and I don't consider you guys professionals or experts because of your years of service or training. And this probably goes for every profession, but especially yours. You're experts and professionals because you care, and so that shows, and it's appreciated by those who work with you. And so we appreciate that, and that's why I would consider you guys experts and professionals. And we're glad to partner with you guys in encouraging other peoples to be helping children, and in that fight, in that battle, we appreciate to be working with you guys. And so this is social media. If anybody out there is considering being a potential foster parent, if you are a foster parent and you have any questions about anything that we said, or about inquiring about being a foster parent, like I said, this is social media. You can leave a comment, you can leave a message, and we can direct you in the right direction. So we appreciate you watching, and we hope to do many more of this series, Fostering for Jesus. And I hope you were encouraged by this podcast. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Amy, for doing this podcast. And we hope to see you again real soon. My mouse froze. There we go.